Yo, still bills, what's the deal, man? On my way to the motherfucking plantation to get this last day out the way. Get to my weekend, get the Velasquez versus Virgil Ortiz. But man, peep game though, man. We gotta rap about this, man. Y'all know what day it is, man. Flashback Fridays, man. Flashback Fridays, where I look at a controversial fight. I go back and I give it my own personal analysis, man. So we going back on this one, man. We going way back in the time on this one, man. And I want to talk about none other than Sugar Ray Leonard versus Marvelous Marvin Hagler, man. The great, the GOAT. Rest in peace to that brother, man. That dude was a special vessel, man. Special vessel, gone too soon. Damn, it's not enough you can say about Marvelous, man. But nonetheless, let's get into it, man. On my first watch, I watched it years ago. On my first watch, I thought Sugar Ray Leonard won that fight, man. And then I went back and watched it with better, a better understanding of the sport, a better understanding of, you dig, just everything that goes on in that ring, man. Just my eyes are a lot more trained in the now when I went back and watched it, man. And I can't see how anybody would give that fight to Ray Leonard. Early on, I think people get because this wasn't a more meticulous Marvin Hagler in the ring. This was a mauling, just pressure. We didn't see the finesse of a Marvin Hagler that we're used to seeing. We saw it in Ray Leonard, and I think that's where people got lost at. Early on in the fight, Ray Leonard was I didn't even know he could switch hit. I never even realized he was switch hitting. It wasn't nothing prolific or nothing like how Hagler was doing, using it to cut off the ring and all that and stay on balance when he would overshoot on the shot. There was nothing to that effect, but he was just switch hitting just to like mock him. But his lateral movement really kept, it was clearly bothering Hagler, clearly. And he what he was doing, he would employ tactics like how Floyd would do. That may actually be where Floyd got it from, where he would hit and wrap up. He would hit and wrap up, get off and wrap up and allow the ref to break you up, but not excessive holding to the point where it was like, you slowing down the action and this is really it's looking like it's becoming a foul. No, it was calculated, and he was doing that early on. He was making Marvin Hagler miss big. He was missing big. He could not cut the ring off from Ray Leonard. You dig? The first 4 rounds, Ray Leonard was just, you dig, like he had a really good gauge of his distance, and he was landing more effectively. He was just way out of range to where it looked like Marvin Hagler was swinging on him from the middle of the ring, and Ray Leonard was at the turnbuckle. That's how big he was missing. And he was able to control that, control distance for the first 4 rounds, like clear as day. Everybody is like, why is Marvin Hagler switching? He keeps switching. Why you keep switching to the orthodox? Stay in the southpaw. I think he used those early rounds to try and figure him out. Like, I got to get this dude's patterns down. I have to get his timing down. I have to get when he shifts from one way to the next, you dig? I mean, like, it was so much distance between the two of them early on in that fight that I was like, damn. Wow. Like, he was missing big, man. You seen Marvin Hagler doing a lot of lunging in, leaving his feet to throw the jab or the lead hook. Like, damn near leaving his feet. Lunging in to get to him, and he couldn't do it. And Ray Leonard, he didn't have the reflexes and the timing to really punish him for that. He could only counter him in the clinch. He couldn't counter him from outside. He couldn't walk him into a trap. And I think it would have been hard to do that anyway, because just when you get to a certain level, certain mistakes that your average boxer would make, you get punished for it, man. But when you get at that, it's like with Manny Pacquiao. When he would be off balance, he was just so fast and on his feet that he'd be able to recover before you could punish him for it. But Hagler was doing a lot of lunging and everything, and whiffing big shots. So Ray Leonard clearly controlled the 4th of the first 4 rounds. And Hagler come the 5th round, that's where he kind of started to like really break Ray Leonard's his momentum and his what's the word I'm looking for? He really started to break his rhythm as far as the the lateral movement goes, man. He started attacking the body more, not head hunting as much. That's where his big problem was his head hunting, a lot of head hunting. He didn't attack the body. He was head hunting. When he switched that up, it started even he was attacking the body from the outside. You dig? I would see him step in. I would see him throw hooks to the body from around about mid distance. You dig? And once he started touching him in the body, you started to really see a decrease in momentum and movement from Ray Leonard. You really started to see his movement dissipate. He wasn't as fleet-footed as he was in the first 4 rounds. So I think around about the 5th round, that's when you started to see the tide start to shift. And I ended up giving that round to Marvelous Hagler. And then I think, the 6th round, it was somewhat the same. It was somewhat the same as far as Hagler attacking the body. But I think Ray was able to get back on his feet and establish distance just one more time for that round in particular. And I ended up giving a 6 to Ray. From the rest of the fight on, I gave the rounds to Hagler. So 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, I gave to Hagler. I gave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to Ray Leonard. And with Hagler, it was like I said, man, you've seen both of them were fatigued, but Hagler just dug a little bit deeper. Not even a little bit deeper, a lot deeper. Because the relentless pressure didn't stop. It was just constant. It was grueling. It was mentally exhausting as well as it was physically exhausting, man. And when you got, like Ray would do, he was shoe shining, but it would be in pockets, and I'm talking deep pockets. I'm talking like inactivity from Ray, and then all right, now I have no other choice, and I have enough energy to where I can get I can get about a 5 or 6 punch combination off, and get back to the outside. But it wasn't a sustained attack. Hagler had a sustained attack from round 7 on, from 5 on technically. From 5 on, it was a sustained attack to the body. And he was just digging to the body, and that started opening up shots up top. He started landing the jab a lot more. He started landing the lead left hook or the lead right hook more often, man. He was still missing big, because you dig, by the time when you're both that tired, it's exhausted, and you just, this one punch, you dig, it's this one punch I can get him up out of here. And you seen that with Ray Leonard, man, where it was, a lot of them shots was get off me shots. That when he would start to shoe shining and get to letting his hands go and throwing, punches in bunches, it was get off me shots. Like, I gotta break this pressure a little bit, man, so I can give myself some grace period to rest and regain my composure. It was a lot of that shit going on later on in them rounds, man. But Hagler was just extremely relentless. He was extremely relentless. Tapping the body, he tapped the body, so like, you clearly seen it. You clearly seen the movement of Ray Leonard evaporate damn near after around about the 7th round. You clearly seen that. He was able to cut the ring off very effectively. And now, that's the beauty of switch hitting. That's the beauty of switch hitting. Every time he would go enough, not every time, but when he started doing, when the lateral movement went, he would just, all right, cool, you moving to my left, all right, bet. I'm conventional. You moving to my right, all right, cool, I'm southpaw. He did that a lot. He did that a whole lot. And you didn't really even recognize it. Like, that's how fluent he was in his movement. Like, when you watch Bud, as incredible as a switch hitter that Bud is, you dig, they kind of, you notice it off the rip as soon as he goes southpaw. You notice it. You didn't as much notice it with Marvin Hagler. You didn't. You would be like, oh shit. It would take one of the announcers to say, oh yeah, all right, now he's southpaw. And then you'd be like, oh shit, he is southpaw now. You didn't notice it as much with Marvin Hagler. Like that shit was just wild to me, man. Just watching that shit, man. Just like, yo, I can't even. I'm not even catching when he's switching. And he was switching it, and the fight would be back in his favor once again, or the round would be back in his favor once again, man. But I think a lot of people got it fucked up because the flashier shots were coming from Ray Leonard, even later on in the fight, but they would come in such, in like deep pockets, like it'd be a minute plus of inactivity of him just using his lateral movement, and then you'll see him flash a 5 or 6 punch combination in the clinch. And he'll do it one more time, but that will be the gist of his round. Marvin Hagler would be consistently applying pressure to him. It was consistent pressure, consistent, steady pressure being applied to him, man. And it was, I think it was enough to get him the match, man. And unfortunately, he retired, man. So, but even then, he fought everybody. He had fought everybody. He fought Hearn. He fought Ray Leonard. He fought Roberto. He knocked out Hearn. You dig? Like, come on, man. That's a big deal. He fought every damn body. But I do think Marvin Hagler won that fight. I do think he got robbed. Ray Leonard was a more higher profile fighter. He was the Olympian. He was the pretty boy. He was the household name. He was a lot more fan friendly and in commercials and all that, and the highest paid boxer in history at that time. He was the easier pill to swallow. So even him coming out of retirement to fight him, Marvin Hagler was, he had all of that going against him. And like I said, people was really the shoe shining thing. I think that's what really got people, because he was landing the flashier punches. But they clearly ignored the sustained body assault by Marvin Hagler. And I do think he got robbed. And because he got robbed, he retired from the sport and became an actor in Italy. And Italy got to enjoy Marvin Hagler for the rest of his natural life, as opposed to us over here in America. I'm sure I'm sure up and comers would have loved to be under the tutelage of a marvelous Marvin Hagler, and we were denied that because motherfuckers don't want to, you dig, well, it's more money invested in him, so we gonna give him the fight. He has the bigger upside. He's the easier pill to swallow, so let's go with Sugar Ray Leonard. It's not fair. It really isn't, man. Boxing is a corrupt sport, man. Could I understand how somebody could give Ray Leonard that fight? If you watch it once, yeah. Like, I could understand the judges that night giving him that fight, being there. I'd be able to, because even like I said with me before, when I first watched it, I thought Ray Leonard won the early rounds and did enough in the later rounds to get the fight. So I can understand how a judge would say, yeah, he won that fight. But on the set, unfortunately, you can't turn back the hands of time. Unfortunately, you can't take a person's victory away from him and award the loser the victory, unless the act is too egregious. And that unfortunately just wasn't. It didn't meet the criteria of being an egregious loss. It didn't reach the criteria that, along what we saw last week with Maestri and Fox, it wasn't as detrimental as that. So we can't turn back the hands of time and give Marvin Hagler that loss. Marvelous Marvin Hagler that loss, unfortunately. But he did deserve the nod in that fight, man. But it's just, people really, I know for a fact, people got it real fucked up with how big Hagler was missing. Ray Leonard was, despite him getting trapped on the ropes and the body work, he had the better upper body movement, man. Ray Leonard didn't make Hagler miss. Oh, not man, Hagler miss, but Hagler didn't make Ray Leonard miss as big. He did once in the middle of the ring. He did once. His head movement wasn't as prolific as Ray Leonard's was, so you see all that, and you recognize, damn, man, he is missing big. He is completely missing that man's head to the point where it doesn't even look like, it looks like they're 10 feet apart when he's swinging. So I think that played a pivotal role, just how big he was missing, and the shoe shining in the, when he would trap him on the ropes. I think that's what swayed the people, and that's what got me early on. You dig? Great, those big misses, early on in the fight, and even later in the fight, man. He was missing big late in the fight, but the difference was he was attacking the body. He was attacking the body by that time, and he started to land. He started landing the lead hook. He started landing the jab because of the body work. The arms started dropping. It opened up that head, and he was denied a fight. But people, I know that they saw that, and the judges saw that and ran with it. He's missing big. Even the announcers were saying to stop attacking, stop headhunting, and go to the body. He was missing big. It was some big whiffs. Missing big, missing hooks, missing jabs. Like, damn, bro, you're not gonna land a shot from all the way out there. You're not gonna land a shot from long range on fucking Ray Leonard. It's just, and you're shorter than him too by like an inch. You're not gonna do that. You're not gonna do that. You're gonna have to take that step in. And it took him till about the 5th round to realize that. And once he did, that body was food. You dig? Pinned the tail on the donkey to the body. And he attacked the body, and I think he did enough to get the job done. Unfortunately, he didn't get the nod. They saw the big whiffs, and they saw the shoe shining in pockets and spurts. Not sustained, but enough to where will wow the judges to give them the round. I think that's kind of bad. So rest in peace, Marvelous Marvin Hagler. You dig? It's unfortunate that had to be your last fight. We could have got another classic out of you. We most definitely could have. We could have stood to see a few more matches from Marvin Hagler going into the 90s and everything. I think you still had enough in the tank to still be able to beat a lot of contenders. Father Time is undefeated. So, you dig? I gotta go and tune up, polish my history as far as factors in the 90s, you dig? Because, like I said, I'm late to the sport. I didn't watch boxing back in the day like that. I didn't. I'm new to this sport. So I have to go educate myself on the people of the champions and the contenders of the past. But I do think you were that dude enough to where you could have most definitely been a factor going into the 90s, the early 90s especially. Shit, man. Roberto Duran was still getting busy. Oh, yeah, I'm parking down here. Fuck all that. So that's how I'm feeling about it, though, man. Like and subscribe. Let me know what y'all think, man. Peace.